Hi, this is James Jack from Accelrys, and I wanted to show you the new uh, reaction enumerator uh, functionality. This isn't added. It's actually a standalone executable which provides an API, so it can be called from WinForms, or in this case, I'm using it as a draw add-in. So I've got an OOGI type reaction. Multi-component reaction drawn out. It's got various R groups defined, and all I need to do is click in the chemistry menu and select enumerate reaction, and that will start the reaction enumerator. It runs and pulls in the reaction that we've got on the canvas, and then I just need to go through and define SD files for the various components that we want to enumerate. So I do that through the file menu, import reactants, and first of all we want some amines. And then for the second reactant, we want carboxylic acids. The third reactant is, in this case, is ketones, or could be aldehydes, depending on what R3 and R4 are. So ketones. And finally, we've got isonitrile type compounds for reactant D. So now everything's defined. The run enumeration button becomes enabled, and I can just click on that, and we get a progress dialog, or a progress bar on the status panel at the bottom of the application, running through those quite quickly. This enumeration normally takes between 20 and 30 seconds. And it takes us to the result screen. So we have a grid of all the products, and also a detailed view at the top. And if I click on a particular product, the two parts of the application are linked. So I can click through and get to wherever I want to in the grid will be displayed. There are some settings. There are some features that I haven't implemented yet. Let's look at the settings first. So in the settings dialog, I can choose whether or not I want to display those reactant labels or letters on the reaction, the A, B, C, D. And this is an unimplemented feature at the moment. It's going to be able to do a compound availability lookup against the DiscoveryGate web service. So you'll be able to see if your reactants or products are available compounds. Under the enumeration, there's all kinds of settings that you can send as part of the enumeration request. And then under the Advanced tab, the enumeration currently is using Cheshire and a Cheshire script. So this Cheshire script is quite an important piece of what the application is doing. And I didn't want to lock it down entirely, so I've provided a mechanism by which you can adjust that script if you're an experienced Cheshire developer. But by default, you probably don't want to touch this. If you try and enable the editing, you get a nice warning dialog. And if you carry on and say yes, you get this other message telling you that the script is now editable. But if you make any changes to it, you've got to restart the enumerator to load the updated version of the script. And at that point, you can start making changes. If you do make a mistake, or you want to revert back to the original version, you can. If your current script is different from what the application understands to be the original version of the script, then you can revert it. And that revert button disappears if there are no differences between your script and the standard one. So if I click on revert, the button, it'll just warn me that I'm going to lose any changes. And now that button's gone because my script now matches the original. And in fact, all I'd done was add a space anyway. So right. Other things that I haven't finished yet, there's going to be an ability to exclude products. So you can exclude those products from the data that ultimately you'll be able to export an SD file from here of all your products. So you can exclude certain products if you don't want them. And the same goes here for you can exclude certain reactants if you don't want to include those. All the panels are resizable, so I can make these wider or smaller up to a certain point. There's a minimum size for everything. And there's also, like there is a grid view in the products for the results, there's also a grid view for the reactants, so you can go through and look at the different reactants. Each reactant gets its own tab. Just switch those all to grid view. I might add a button that allows you to switch everything to grid view in one go. That's essentially it. So as I said, this is it running as a draw add-in, and it will be it can also be run standalone. You'd be able to launch this enumeration from any other application which can interface with .NET through a scripting language, for instance. And this, when it's finished, I'll make it available on the community forum. Okay, thanks for listening.